that it changes so often. So it's been going for 50 years, but it hasn't been the same show for too long. Like new doctors, new companions. It's the constant change that keeps it fresh, keeps it new, and I think that's what I enjoy about it. And also, I feel like it doesn't take itself very serious or too seriously. It can joke about itself and it can poke fun at itself, and it's just, I don't know, light-hearted, family fun entertainment, I think.
I guess it's different every episode, and that's what makes the show so brilliant. Is you can't have an episode that's like the last one. Every episode's unique, and the series just work together so well. And it's just an amazing show. I've grown up with it, I guess, so it's a part of my life, and that's what makes it amazing.
I love Doctor Who because it's silly and fun and kind of crazy, but at the same time it has this kind of emotional heartbeat that you get suckered in. When a quality actor starts talking about some weird star array of somewhere and has this genuine emotion behind it, it's great. It's always surprising, it's always a little bit crazy, but yeah, it's always fresh, and that's why I love the Doctor Who.
Everything about Doctor Who. I like the storylines. It's very mysterious. It keeps me at the edge of my seat. It makes me laugh. I like Matt Smith because he's got cool bow ties and stuff. Yeah.
I love that it's kind of sci-fi for everyone. It's it kind of flirts with the hardcore sci-fi, aliens and everything like that, but it also has that human element that a lot of good sci-fi always has. It kind of shows our society in a different light and how things could be interpreted differently in different circumstances.
On this and say David Tennant was my favourite Doctor. I enjoy watching Matt Smith more. I just feel like he's a more fun, more energetic Doctor. But David Tennant's his emotion-charged scenes, like the one at the end of the Family of Blood episode, and when his final episode, The End of Time Part 2, it was just like, brings me to tears when I watch some of those episodes, and I feel like it's that emotion that he had that kind of made him the better Doctor, even though I feel like Matt Smith is more of a fun guy to watch, more enjoyable to watch.
Probably David Tennant. He's been my favourite so far. That could change, but I doubt it. Him or Matt Smith, but David Tennant is probably the first Doctor that I knew. I don't know, he's just been a great figure in my life.
Not to love your first Doctor, and for me my favourite Doctor is Tom Baker. I remember growing up with him as a kid, which probably shows you some of my age, but there was this mysterious enigma about him, this kind of aloofness and that fantastic scarf of his. I remember reading like books by you know, like the novelizations of the episodes, and yeah, Tom Baker was always it for me. And there was also that little bit of the current quirkiness that we now see in the more modern Doctors.
This is very tricky for me. I like Matt Smith and David Tennant. Matt Smith is very quirky, he's lovable, he's funny, but then also I like David Tennant, who's like sophisticated, funny as well, but like more sophisticated and classy, so I'm not too sure.
My favourite Doctor so far has been Matt Smith. I don't know if that's because he was the first Doctor I watched like regularly, or whether it's just because, you know, I do enjoy his stories a lot. Some of it, Matt Smith's stuff has been a bit complicated, but I prefer the serialized stuff rather than the more episodic stuff that was with David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston.
Episode is an episode in season 2. It's called A Girl in the Fireplace. It's the one with Madame de Pompadour in pre-revolutionary France. I don't know why I like it. It's really, I don't know, it's just kind of it shows that the Doctor has other people outside of his life apart from, at that point, Rose. And it's Stephen Moffat uses the things that scare you the most because they're everyday things. So in that episode, it's the ticking clock. In Blink, it's the angels. In the 11th Hour, it's things that you see out of the corner of your eye. It's kind of those things that Stephen Moffat really tries to hammer on. So I think that's really good. Like you hear a clock ticking, you think it's a robot monster hiding under your bed trying to kill you. And it's like I said before, David Tennant's got a lot of emotion, and the chemistry between David Tennant and Sophia Myles, who plays Madame du Pompadour, it's just really solid. It's an all-round great episode. And there's a horse, which is great.
With the angels, which the statues and they're just amazing. It's a good episode. It's the first one that I saw with the angels in it, and it was really scary, but it was so good and exciting at the same time. It was a thrilling experience every single time you watch it.
My favourite episode is A Good Man Goes to War. I think what I like about it is that Stephen Moffat spends a lot of time building towards something in each episodes, in each of his kind of seasons and stuff like that. And a number of the mysteries of the show, like Riversong, who she is, it was just emotional and great. And like every kind of bad guy and good guy and ally of the Doctor came together, and it was just fun. It has a whole series of short films around it too, which are quite amusing. But I think that it just has that amazing kind of wholeness, that completeness that kind of comes together to make what you love about Doctor Who. It's those great emotions, those great characters, and then that mystery that kind of wraps itself all together.
I like most of the episodes, but the one that's caught my attention, particularly one scene in the 50th anniversary episode where David Tennant and Matt Smith meet together, and they're just like finishing off their sentences and laughing at each other like, oh, you're the Doctor, you're me, oh, okay. Yeah, I find that very funny.
My favourite episode has been The Doctor's Wife. That was the episode when the spirit of the TARDIS got taken out of the TARDIS and into a woman, so I kind of personified the Doctor's longest running companion, really. The TARDIS has always been kind of that thing in the show that has always been with the Doctor, and the Doctor is always speaking to it, and they kind of have a love-hate relationship, but and that really worked in the episode as well. The actress who played the TARDIS was really, really very funny and very charming, and you could see why the Doctor was in love with this TARDIS machine. And also, Neil Gaiman wrote it, and he's a really good writer. So all the dialogue, and all the action in it was really good. It was a really good episode.
Matt Smith's run as the Doctor has been getting better and better as he go on. I feel like every series has just been, he's been more and more excellent. So the 11th Hour, his first episode, is one of my top 5 favourite episodes of all time. And he just started so well. He's a very physical Doctor. He's always moving about and running. He never turns left, he always goes anti-clockwise, which is a fun fact. I think he's just been getting better and better, and especially with the Ponds leaving, I feel like that was a big step for Matt Smith's Doctor, because he didn't have Amy, who he had the great chemistry with, and so with Clara, I feel like he really came out on his own. No offense to Clara, but she's not the best companion we've had, and Matt Smith just really shone in those last 8 episodes without Amy Pond. And the time of the Doctor, his last episode, was a very beautiful, the moment with Handles, the Cyberman head, and the bit with Amy right at the end. He kept getting better and better, Matt Smith. He was a good Doctor. So yeah, on the flip side of that, there's Stephen Moffat's writing. So I think he's a great writer, but he's not a very good head writer. Lots of his story arcs had many people confused, and I think that kind of weakened Matt Smith's time as the Doctor. So people were reflecting the confusing story arcs with Matt Smith's acting ability. So I think if he was in the era of Russell T Davies, I think he probably would have been better than David Tennant. That's a personal opinion. But yeah, Stephen Moffat, excellent writer. He's just, the way he arcs the stories it was a 3-season story arc, which was a bit much, I think, for people, and that kind of affected Matt Smith's run, unfortunately.
It was really, he did really well, I found, and along with Amy and Rory, they just worked together like really amazingly. All three of them were just really well together. That just worked. But Matt Smith by himself, some episodes where he just was by himself, it was a little sad because he didn't have a companion. And when Clara came along, it was hard to adjust. But as a Doctor as a whole, I think he did a very good job.
As far as Matt Smith's run as the Doctor goes, I love Matt Smith as the Doctor. He was great. He has always been just a really, really warm, endearing, quirky character. How can you not go past Amy and Rory? Like their time as companions was just great, and they were, when they finally left, it was tragic, and I think it was kind of Matt Smith's also ending there. Like, but I think this most current season, particularly season 7 altogether, but the last probably half dozen episodes with Clara have been a little bit lacking in something. There's no sense of time in the storytelling, no sense of, I don't know, like gravity. Despite this mystery of who Clara was, the arc wasn't there. And while there's some great individual episodes, and like the 50th and the Christmas special are excellent, season 7 was a little bit disappointing. It's a shame that's how it went out, that he kind of went out with he kind of faded rather than with a mighty roar, so to speak. In saying that, like the Christmas special and, you know, Amy's little appearance at the end was wonderful. Her little Raggedy Man joke was, yes, to die for.
I've started watching Doctor Who only with Matt Smith, like his series, but I've seen a few episodes of the previous Doctor, so I think I'm leaning towards the bias side. Previously, as what I said, I'm leaning towards, I like Matt Smith more because I've seen more of his episodes, but I think if I watched more of David Tennant, I would enjoy it as well. But I like him as a Doctor. Like, his image is what I expect the Doctors to be. Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. Like I said before, Matt Smith's been my favourite Doctor. Towards the end, I think season 7 wasn't as solid as season 5 and 6, but it was still pretty good. It was probably helped that he had really likeable companions as well, with Amy and especially Rory, who was kind of just a big character to start with, but then he became really, really important to the story and everything in it. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And the 50th, obviously, he was in that, and that was really, really fun. Especially with all the other Doctors coming in, and he's probably had my favourite Christmas special as well in his final episode.
So my hopes is that he's going to be excellent. The show keeps going, of course, but I don't think people are going to like him. He said in an interview that Matt Smith and David Tennant have been your boyfriendy kind of Doctors, and he's going to turn back into a grumpy old man, kind of the same way William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton were. No, not Patrick Troughton. Sylvester McCoy were. They were just grumpy old men, kind of. So I kind of have hopes that, yeah, that people will still watching because people will still be watching because Peter Capaldi is going to be a very different Doctor. I feel all the girls won't be fanboying over him because he's good looking. And people have already said, oh, he's too old to play the Doctor, which is weird because he's 1,200 years old. But yeah, my hopes are that, yeah, even though it's going to be such a drastic change and a drastic shift from how it used to be, that people still keep watching.
I'm excited and intrigued, but I'm really not sure if I'm ready to move on to a new Doctor yet. Like, you just get used to a Doctor and then they change it, and you're like, do I like him or do I not like him? And it'll be fun. It'll be a new experience, I guess. And I hope that the show keeps going on as well as it has been.
So my hopes for the new Doctor, Mr. Capaldi, are pretty high actually. The Doctor needs a refresh. I think every good show needs a refresh, and an older actor a serious actor, perhaps. I'm sure there'll be plenty of humour and stuff like that, but there seems to be that grumpy old man vibe to him, and I think that'll be most enjoyable. A nice change. I hope there's kind of that mystery that has been throughout Stephen Moffat's time as the head writer, but I feel that I have high hopes for him. I don't have a crush on the Doctor like many of the younger audience. So it's not an issue like that. I hope it adds something else, maybe a tone of seriousness which has been lacking. So we'll see, I guess, when August comes around.
I'm not too sure. He looks like the first impression that I got from him from the last episode of the last season. He looks really scary. So I don't know if he's like of course his personality is going to change, but he just looks scary. Like what I said before, the Doctor should be loving, quirky, funny, easy to love, like easy to follow through. But I don't know for him, but we'll see what happens.
I'm kind of hoping that they move away from the childishness of Matt Smith. I think it was good to have him as that sort of Doctor, but I don't think it would really work well with the new Peter Capaldi version of the Doctor. I hope, he's kind of just that old man who is sick of everyone and just wants to get things done and not, play around like Matt Smith used to do and stuff like that. So I'm really hoping for a change dynamic as well with Clara. There was a lot of criticism, especially towards the end with Clara, that it was too much like a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship, which I think would not work with Peter Capaldi. So I'm just looking forward to him just going back to almost the original Doctor, where he's the oldest actor playing the Doctor so far. So just more of an older, wiser Doctor.
Go.
Okay, this is the painting I did of the TARDIS. I don't know, it's pretty cool.